Everybody, thank you for joining us for this Small Business Boot Camp on October 3rd today. We're excited to have you with us. I'm Robert Theobald, Small Business Ombudsman and Vice President of Small Business Services here at the Arizona Commerce Authority and your host today. As we have started doing recently, I like to request in the chat you post where you're tuning in from. We like to see where we have our attendees tuning in from, so please post that up in the chat. All right, we've got San Antonio. Thank you, Delphina. Mesa, Glendale, Phoenix, Surprise, Avondale, Tucson. All right. Thank you. Keep posting that up. You got the Hopi Reservation I saw, Prescott Valley, Sierra Vista, Chandler, Tohono O'odham Nation, and Sells. All right. Thanks for joining from Sells. Globe. All right. Again, please post in the chat where you're tuned in from, but we'll jump into the rest and get started with this boot camp this morning. So as we like to do, we like to start by thanking all of our community partners. This is just a sample of our community partners. We could not do it without their time, their effort, and their expertise. They're grateful. We are very grateful for them of giving back of their time to help bring this expert content to all of our attendees. The Small Business Boot Camp is designed to help small businesses prepare, plan, and grow. And it is not just the Tuesday morning workshops or webinars that we do. It is also a series of workshops, both virtual and in person. And it also includes our content library. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about all those things here. First, the content library is where we house all of our recorded webinars. And we record every session, including today's is recorded. Will be recorded, and we post those in the content library. So if you've missed a previous session, say last week or the week before, you can go to the content library and find that session and watch the recording. And you can also download the slide deck. We include those in there for people that might be interested in downloading slide deck. So there's a lot of great tools in the content library, and there's no cost to access those. They're available on the same web page that you went to originally to join this session on the bootcamp homepage, and we'll post that link in the chat. Also, the ACA has a number of other programs to help support small businesses. We have the Career Readiness Credential, the Arizona Innovation Challenge, Arizona MEP, our Manufacturing Extension Partnership, Arizona State Trade Expansion Program, Arizona at Work, and Small Business Services, which I oversee. All these different parts of the ACA are out there to help small businesses be successful. A quick note about Arizona MEP. We don't have it in our other slides today, but I do want to mention for any small manufacturers or medium-sized manufacturers that we have, MEP, ACA, and SCORE are doing a manufacturing summit on November 3rd. It's a Friday in the morning. So more information will come out about that, but if you're a manufacturer, go ahead and mark your calendar with that information. So another program that's very helpful to entrepreneurs is the Small Business Checklist, and it's an online interactive tool that helps entrepreneurs understand the licensing, registration, and compliance needs at the local, state, and federal levels. It's a great resource with a ton of information. So please check that out if you're looking to grow or expand or start a new business. So some quick updates we want to share with everybody. Business updates is coming up on October 17th is the 5th annual World's Best Connectors Conference over at ASU SkySong from 8 a.m. to noon. It's this topic for this year is how to attract and retain Zoomers. I will be there, and the ACA will be presenting in one of the panels. So check that out. There is a cost to attend that, but if it's something you're interested in, we want to share that with you. Also, there's the Tempe Workforce Skills Accelerator Program. This is a grant program to help Tempe businesses upskill their workforce. So if you're in Tempe, you can check that out. And we're going to post links for all this in the chat. And then also, if you're a local food producer, the Purchase Local AZ program has just opened their request for proposals. So we'll post the link to that. The deadline is October 31st. So I know we have a few food producers out there, or if you know any, that might be something they're looking at, they might want to look into. So some great programs. Now let's look at our upcoming sessions. We've got a bunch of great upcoming sessions here for you. We've got Navigating Cash Flow next week. And then on October 12th, which is a Thursday, is a special boot camp lunch and learn. And in that workshop, it'll be a virtual workshop with the Arizona Department of Administration. And we're going to focus a bit on kind of a walk through how to use the state's new Business One-Stop portal. This is a great new platform that the state set up that helps bring together all the business information that you'd have to do separately at the Department of Revenue, the Secretary of State, the Corporation Commission, and other places. It's brought into one portal, so it's going to be a walkthrough of how to use it and how it can benefit you. And so we're excited about that. We've been involved with the development of that on the planning and kind of front end customer facing ways. So they're a great partner of ours. So please join us to learn more about that program. And then on October 17th, we have online business tools everyone needs. And so that lines up the next few weeks, but we've got a great lineup through the rest of the year. Again, every Tuesday morning, we're going to have a great session, and you can see some of those other sessions on the bootcamp webpage. We do have those up and ready to register. So with that, we're going to jump into today's session. We have Terrell Brown, co-founder of Ecom and Coffee, and he's got a really good session set up today. With that, there's going to be a Q&A portion of the presentation at the end. And so if you have questions about his presentation, please post them in the Q&A box, and we can use the chat for other interactions. But the Q&A is where the questions, you want your questions to go, so we can address those during the Q&A time that we have set aside. But with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and Terrell, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Robert. Appreciate it. Good to be here. Excited to present some information about Facebook ads, Meta platform. So anytime we talk about Facebook ads, it's essentially you're just including Facebook and Instagram in that. And so that's what we're going to be talking through today. I got a little presentation I'll go ahead and share. So we'll go ahead and get started here. We're going to talk through the 5 keys to successful Meta ads. For those that don't know, Meta is what Facebook used to be. It's the just the catch-all for everything under that platform, which what we're discussing today would be Facebook and Instagram platforms and running ads on those. So who am I? I have spent a little over $200 million on ads on Facebook profitably. Worked with over 440 course creators and online coaches, scaled ads profitably for over 100 launches, ranging from 10,000 in ad spend to 300,000. Work with a lot of huge e-commerce companies, scaling their ads and ad spend up to $1 million to $2 million a month in ad spend, and featured on multiple podcasts, as well as Meta success story on the Meta website. So all that to just say that I know enough what I'm talking about with Facebook ads to explain a little bit of them to you to see if it's something you might be interested in running for yourselves. So when you're going to start thinking about running ads on Facebook, you really need to start with a foundation and an understanding of what you're wanting to do. If you don't, you're going to start wasting money. So you have to start with what do you want people to do? So understanding that when you're putting an ad in front of somebody, that's great, but what is the action you want them to take? If you don't know, then you're going to waste money. You want them to show you the money. You want to make money from what you're running. You want to put money in and you want to pull money out greater than the amount that you're putting in. So going into it with an idea of, maybe you want 1,000 email signups. Maybe you want 50 leads a month for your plumbing business. Maybe you want $5,000 in sales from the $2,000 you're putting in there. So having that goal written down is really going to help you to formulate a plan around the ads that you're going to run. So let's say I want to spend $500 to acquire 5 customers. So you're willing to spend $100 to acquire each one of those customers. So different businesses, it's going to matter. It's going to depend on what that thing is that you need people to do and what that's worth to you. You know, so if you were selling a bag of coffee online, yeah, you know, $100 would be way too much to spend, you know, but you might want to spend $5 to sell a bag of coffee. That'd be very difficult to achieve because of the costs on Facebook, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Now, if you don't have a goal, you're not going to know if an ad is performing like fire or like garbage. You know, you want to know what that goal is so that when you start reading your numbers, you understand if that ad is a success for you and you're making money from it, or if you're losing money. So this right here is essentially, I know there's a lot of different types of small businesses here, so it's kind of impossible for me to create or to show you a calculator that makes sense for every single one of yours. But this is an example of a calculator that's created for a company who does a webinar that sells a course at the end of the webinar. So think something like a masterclass. So you're driving leads to a masterclass or a webinar that at the end of it, they have a course that they sell for $2,997. So what this shows you is all of the areas in blue are areas that you can affect by what you do in your ads. For instance, the link click-through rate that you see right here in the middle, that can get better based on you creating a better ad. If people are clicking on the link or on the ad that they're looking at, that means they're showing intent and interest in the thing that you showed them. So the better your ad, the higher your link click-through rate is going to be. What a link click-through rate is it's essentially the number of impressions divided by the number of people who clicked on the ad when they saw it. For those that don't know, an impression just means that a person saw your ad in their feed or on their reels or somewhere. So it just means that it showed to them. That's all an impression is. And that's pretty much how you pay for ads. So if you look, you'll probably hear a term thrown around that's just CPM. CPM is called cost per milli, and essentially it just means cost per 1,000 impressions. So in this example, we're paying $35 for 1,000 impressions on Facebook or Instagram or any of the placements that we're placing them on during that. So the whole point of this calculator is we plug in these numbers on everything that we do, and then it tells us, hey, if we spent $25,000 and we hit all these numbers that we wanted to hit on these goals of conversion rates and everything, then we're going to profit $1,881 at the end of that. Now, that might be okay, might not be okay. You're profitable, so hey, let's then go back and make some of these things better to then make more money. So it's everything you do within the world of ads on Facebook is just calculations. It's just figuring out what your goal is and then finding a cost per goal that is going to work within your business. So again, if let's just say you're a plumber and you just want people who are looking for a plumber, you can understand how much money you're going to make from one of those appointments, what your conversion rate is on people who become a lead for you, and then you actually get a job, and then reverse engineer that to understand, here's what I'm willing to pay for a lead, knowing that I'm going to convert it at, 50% of the people that I call actually end up becoming a client or a customer. So everything, again, is numbers. And so something like this is super important to have. And I do have a couple versions of these calculators on my website that are free to download. I'll show you that information at the end of it. But I have one for e-commerce, which, you can kind of use for anything as far as selling products. And then I have one that's created for course creators, which is essentially the one you're looking at here. Okay, The second big piece that you need to be doing is research. If you're not doing your research, then you don't know who you're targeting and you don't know who your competitor is. You have to understand who your avatar is, who that perfect person is that is going to purchase the thing that you're putting in front of them, or the course or the business that you need to sell to them to have them come into your doors. When you're just taking a guess at who that is, you're just wasting your money. There's so much data out there on people and other companies that you can look into to understand what they're doing, to then make a decision on what you're going to do with your targeting when you start running your ads. Don't be this guy. It's a sad day when you're just spending money and essentially lighting on fire because you didn't do the research. Be like these guys. They dig into every single little thing that they can find to figure out who those people are and find them, right? So there's a lot of different research methods that you can do. The number one is talk to your customers, clients, or students. So it's the best thing you can do is if you can just get a quick survey out to your current customers who love you, find out why they love you, right? Like ask them, hey, why do you like us? Why were you happy using us? Why would you use us again? Get a why questionnaire out to them to then pull in data from those people to start to be able to create some areas to understand the why, because the why is how you're going to reverse engineer your ads to really hit people where it matters. Find out who is buying versus who is becoming a lead, right? When we're running lead gen, we are wanting to obviously stack up emails and understand who those people are that want to work with us. But you really want to know out of those leads, who are the ones that are purchasing, because you really want to get to a point where you're paying for people who are going to buy things from you. Getting leads is great, but you really need people that are going to spend money with you. Those are the ones that you really need to target. Competitor research. Who are they and what are they doing? Look into your competitors. There's a place on Facebook. It's if you Google Facebook ads library, you can go on there and you can type in any page that exists in the world of Facebook, and you can see what ads they are currently running. This is a great way to do competitor research, see what they're running, and figure out what they're doing that is working. One of the kind of fun secrets you can know is to understand something that's working for a company. When you go on there, it will tell you when they launched an ad. And so if you see that an ad that they're running has been running for 3 or 4 months, you know that that's probably a profitable ad for them. Otherwise, they wouldn't still be running it. So take a look at some of your competitors in Facebook ads library, understand what they're spending money on, what they're using to generate new customers, and then just go ahead and copy it. It's a great way, even if it wasn't a competitor in your area, you can look at similar companies and take what they're doing as ads to then create your own. Hey, this must be a successful ad. Let me do that same thing, but for me, even if you're not in a competitor space, geography wise or anything like that, you can still do it to get some great ideas. Google Analytics and Ads Manager. If your website does not have these two things set up, I would get that set up as soon as possible. Google Analytics is pretty plug and play for any website type that's out there, whether using Wix, whether using WordPress, Shopify, any of those sites. It's pretty easy to set that up, as well as Ads Manager. And for Ads Manager, it's just called the Facebook Pixel. But what those two things are going to do is they're going to continually track anybody who's coming to your website and help you to understand the type of people, what age they are, male, female, what platform they're using to browse your website, what your site speed is, where they're bouncing, what they're wanting to look at on your website. And then so they have a little bit of other demographic information, but it's great to just know those things. So again, you can adjust your targeting and your marketing to that avatar. Market trends and time of year. These are things to just also keep an eye on. Because, especially we're coming up to Q4 right now. So everybody's mind is going to be focused on gifting as soon as we get to November. From November until December 23rd, 24th, everybody is just gifting, gifting, gifting. So if you have something that's gift related, or that can even be considered a gift, even if it's just, hey, it's a gift card to pay for your air conditioning inspection, whatever you can do in your business to create gifting opportunities, it's going to be something that you can run ads for in that time frame. If you don't have a gifting opportunity in that time frame, I would probably say just be careful about how much you spend during that time, because so much of people's attention is on gifting during that time frame. So you don't want to end up getting lost in the mix. So this is what we do when we do that research that I was talking about here. And number one, talk to your current customers, clients, or students. Create something like this. What this is just a spreadsheet that pulls the words that people are saying as a benefit to understand what they're talking about, that they like the most about working with you. This is pulled from a vegan cookie company as an example. And so we took all the things that they said that they loved, and then we listed it there, and then listed how many times that was brought up, whether it was delicious or yummy, all the different versions of, hey, it just tastes good. But then cute packaging, guilt-free, healthy, keto, and we listed them all out, and then how many times they were used. And then what you take is you then create a pain point that benefit solves. So the pain point for the first one is they don't like things that taste horrible, right? They don't like getting a healthy cookie and it tastes like garbage, right? So the ad then starts with, tired of terrible tasting healthy cookies, try fill in the blank. So you're talking about it, how this cookie solves the problem of a terrible tasting healthy cookie. So it's really creating that benefit from your current customers of why they love you. Maybe it's customer service. Then you can start your ad with, tired of terrible customer service. We have a 5-star rating and everyone comes back to us, 80% retention rate on new clients, etc. Something like that. And so you're constantly starting with the pain point, because that's one of the best ways to capture a new customer, is they're going to see that and then they go, oh, okay, yeah, wait, that has been a problem for me. I'm tired of having that issue. And these people are going to solve it for me. I didn't know they existed. So then that's how you're going to generate those customers. And then this is just a word cloud. There's 100 different websites that you can do. If you just type word cloud, you upload that list of everything, all the reviews that they do into it, and then they'll take all of those and create this for you and understand, okay, and you can see the big things that people mentioned over and over in those reviews. So you can really focus on those things and keep that in mind, that, hey, these are the reasons why people like us. So let's make sure we focus on that with new customers that we're trying to acquire. Okay, now we're going to talk a little about the setup of the ads. And this is pretty fun, easy, but can also be it can also be something that you need to be careful about when you start running ads, is that you need to understand what you want people to do and make that thing easy for people to do. So the example here is working with an attorney, and they wanted to run ads to generate phone calls to their website. And they set everything up, and they came to me and they said, hey, our ads aren't converting. Can you work with us? And I said, okay, yeah, let me jump in and see what's going on with your ads. And so I jumped in, I looked at, they had a great ad. And then it clicked through to a page, and I said, well, what are you wanting people to do? They said, well, call us. I said, okay, well, the page you haven't clicked through doesn't have a phone number on it. So you had to go to that page, and you had to click about us, and then the phone number was there. So it's like, make it easy for people to do the thing you want them to do. So when you're doing that and you find the page that you're going to send traffic to, you need to take and understand, what do these 3 people have in common? And can I create a landing page that all 3 of these people would be able to do the thing I want them to do? It needs to be simple. You need to get them through the process as quick and simply as possible on that landing page. So does this landing page work for an 80-year-old woman? a drunk person, and a 12-year-old. If all three of those people can execute the task that you're wanting them to do, then you have a landing page that will convert high enough to get the thing you're wanting them to do, right? So if you put that through those three people's lenses of understanding, hey, it's easy enough for any of these people to do, and they won't get lost in that process, you have a winning page. If you don't, and you think, oh, nope, they're going to get tripped up here, fix that thing so that it's as easy as possible. That's going to help drive that cost per lead down and get the thing that you want them to do done. Make your site better. This is a big one. You know, the ad is only the conversion, or the thing you want them to do is only as good as the website that you have that you're running traffic to. So the ad could be great, but if the landing page isn't great or the website isn't great, then you're going to lose people. Take clarity over clever. Make it very clear. Make your message very clear as to what you're wanting them to do. Don't use fluffy language. Don't use clever terms that are very insider to your company. Make it very simple and easy for them to understand what they're doing there and why they need to sign up for your thing. Make it pop. Make sure that when you get to that page, the thing you want them to do is the first thing your eyes are drawn to. So it's that sign up button. It's that submit button. It's that thing that you want them to do. That's where your eyes should go first. Do this and show it to friends, family, anybody who's around. Just pull them over. Hey, what do you see first here? And if it's not that button or that form, then make some adjustments on color. Reduce the amount of steps. This is a big one. If you're wanting people to fill out information to become a lead, start with name and email address so that you then capture that person. Then go ahead and ask them the other questions. Oh, hey, what if you're a roofer? Okay, what type of roof do you need? What's your location? What's your time frame for doing it? Do all of that after that first step so that you capture the person. Because if you start with 100 questions for them and they never get to the end, then you never have that lead that you would have had in the beginning. And maybe they just didn't have time to fill out all that information at the time you were asking. And then they forget who you were and never come back, and they moved on and worked with somebody else. So make sure you capture the lead as soon as possible and then get the rest of the information that you need asked after that. Reduce friction. Just make it easy. Everything with landing pages is all about making it easy and reduce the amount of decisions that people have to make. The more decisions they have to make, the less likely they are to convert. It's a big thing in the e-commerce world. If you send people to a home page, it's going to be less likely they convert than sending people to a collection page, which is less likely to convert than sending people to a product page. They need to get there, see the thing they were told to go and buy, and then click a button that says buy it. That's as easy as it can get. Keep it as simple as possible. Make sure you have the Facebook pixel installed. We talked about this earlier, but this is going to keep tracking all the people that come to your website. And when you go to run ads, it's going to help your ads within Ads Manager understand who those people are and the type of people that they should be looking for to come to your website. So even if you aren't running ads, still get that pixel installed on there so that you're tracking and building up data for your customers that you have. How are you going to do this? Make specific landing pages, split test those landing pages. So any website, bless me. Any website out there is going to have landing page tests. And if not, you can always just create two and test traffic to both of those. So what this is just trying maybe a long form landing page where you show all the different things that you do versus a short form landing page where it's just one quick thing that's, hey, sign up. You already saw our ad. You don't need any more information. You could also do it where it's a short form page where you test different colors of buttons, but do split testing to understand what it's doing to convert better with the traffic that you're sending to it. You can use a heat map option on your website as well, even before you're running ads. Hotjar or Lucky Orange are both good products. What these do is you install them on your website and it tracks every visitor that comes to it to understand what their behavior is, where you're losing those customers, what they're doing when they're on your website. It's really kind of cool. Might seem creepy, but you can actually watch different sessions, and it'll show where that person's mouse was, where they were scrolling. It takes a guess as to where their eyes are at the moment. So you can kind of see what they're doing on your website and where they just abandoned. And so it could be that, they scroll down, they see your pricing, and then they leave the page. Then it's like, okay, well, maybe our pricing is their objection. So it can help you to understand what their objections are and why you're losing people from your website or landing page. The other is, make sure you're asking someone to do the thing you want them to do. It sounds silly, but a lot of times people will have something on there and they don't tell people what they want them to do. You want them to sign up. You want them to book a call. You want them to call you. You want them to do something, so make sure you're asking them. Lead gen is a perfect way with this. Sign up. Very, very simple. Tell them what you want them to do. We'll talk through creative now. And this one I'll skim through a little bit. I want to make sure we leave enough time for Q&A. But you must show the right thing, the right message to the right person at the right time. This is very important. So the right thing, the right message is in the creative, the person is in the audience and the targeting, and the right time is just really now. You want to start, if you're wanting to start running ads, you want to start as soon as possible so that you start gathering data. Why would someone buy this product? Again, use your research. Understand why they would buy it and create content around that. Video creative is one of the best things to do for running ads on Meta because it's what gets the most amount of consumption, but also can get more of your messaging about who you are and why they should care about you in that short amount of time. This graph here is to show you how short the person's attention is on Facebook, Instagram. Now, on this long video, average watch time was 17 seconds, but for the most part, you're really only in this area. I mean, you have 3 seconds to capture somebody's attention. That's all you have. So a lot of the time, most people will bounce off of your ad within the first second. So I tell people, really focus on that first second of your video. It sounds crazy, but a second is a long time when you're doing a video ad. Put them straight into it. You want them to get straight into the content, straight into why they should care about you. Ask a quick question. Hey, are you tired of fill in the blank? Are you, ask a question to those people that then is yes. Oh, their answer to that is yes. Oh, are you tired of having this? You let them know, looking for a perfect low cost roofing company. Hey, we have you. Looking for, anything that you can fill into there is going to be great, but it has to be right there at the beginning. Call people out. Call out that person, that avatar from what we were talking about earlier. Are you tired of bland tasting healthy cookies? Are you a entrepreneur who's looking to make 8 figures next year? Here's how you can do that. Anything you can do, make a bold statement. One of mine that teaches online social media creation used one that was basically saying, stop posting on social media. And that was what she said at the very beginning of it. And that was just a bold statement that then stopped people. And they're like, well, why should I stop posting? You're the one who's telling me how to post. And then she went into like the messaging and why she was saying what she was saying, but it stopped people in their tracks and got them to listen. So these are things do not have a slow intro. You need to get straight into it. Just straight into it. Don't talk 10 seconds into it. You don't want to sit there and be talking for the whole time. Get people into the message and then get them to what they need to do. You don't need to show your message at the end. A lot of people want to show their message or their branding at the end. You don't need to do that. It doesn't matter. People, for the most part, don't even get to that. And you really want to keep the video at a length that is consumed because if people bounce at before it gets there or when it gets there, it's going to decrease your quality score on your ad. So just avoid doing that. You don't really need to put it there. Make better creative. Again, these are the things that we were talking about. There is making a hook that grabs the attention at the beginning of the ad. And you can also do something about social proof, talk about the unboxing of videos, talk about all the different things that you can get people to do to understand who you are as a company and why they should care about you. These are all just different things that you can use as a thing at the beginning of that ad, or as the just overall idea for the ad. Hook people at the start. We talked about that. Introduce your product and brand quickly. You want to hook them and then tell them what you are and why they should care about you. You know, hey, are you tired of terrible snack foods? Well, I have a perfect soft pretzel that can be delivered to your door tomorrow. You know, something like that. Oh, okay, that's great. Now you've got them, you hooked them with tired of bad snacks and then told them what your product was. Call to action. Tell them, go buy now, right? So, or, you know, sign up to hear from me, or, you know, call me. You want to tell them what you want them to do. So within that, you know, soft pretzel example, you can say, are you tired of terrible snacks? We have a great soft pretzel that can be shipped to your door tomorrow. Buy it today to guarantee shipment. You know, something like that, so that you're introducing your product and then giving them the call to action, what you want them to do. You want them to purchase. Last, analyze. Everything you're spending is for this purpose. You're gathering data because you're spending on ads that you're putting up to drive to your website to get them to do something. Through all of that is infinite amounts of data, understanding what people are doing, why they're doing it, and then improving on the things that you're analyzing. You want to look at metrics. There's specific metrics. So did my ad grab somebody's attention? One of those things you can do, this is a little bit more advanced, but this is just called a thumb stop rate. This is a custom metric, but all it is the number of impressions divided by 3-second video views on your ad. What that's doing is it's just going to tell you how many people as a percentage are actually watching your ad when it's shown to them as a video. 30% is a great number for that. The next one is click-through rate. How many people are clicking on my ad to do the thing I asked them to do when they see my ad? Anything above 1% is great. 2% is phenomenal. So these are all metrics that you track to understand, is my creative performing in the way it should be? And if it's not, I need to make better creative. Does my site or landing page convert without friction? Conversion rate of 30% on a landing page for a lead is great. 40% is wonderful. 50% would be phenomenal. If you're talking about e-commerce, anything 3% or above is good. 5% is great. 3% is pretty typical for good e-commerce websites. Lastly, I have a little bit of a bonus, and that is, if anybody here is thinking about running ads on LinkedIn, I know there might be some business-to-business people here. Those are typically really good places. This is typically a good place to run those ads. I just wanted to let people know the cons of running ads on LinkedIn. You know, not trying to push you away, but just trying to keep you from wasting any money just in case you were just going to run without looking into these things. It can be very expensive on LinkedIn. Cost per lead or cost per click is typically 5 to 10 times the cost of running on Meta. The learning and scalability on there is a bit limited because of the way their targeting works. You're just not able to spend a whole lot against it. So your actual scaling of things is limited. And then the volume is just not there to depend solely on LinkedIn. You're going to run out of people because the targeting is that small and because the audience doesn't get as broad as you would want it to be. There's some pros, very specific targeting. So you can get down to job titles. You can target people who work at specific companies. You can do a whole lot that's very specific. It just does get expensive. Data that's given is very specific and accurate. So one of the issues that Meta had, this was, I don't know, 3 years ago now, was when iOS 14 was released. They lost a ton of their actual data that they could gather on people because people were now just automatically opted out of data tracking on their phones, which is where 60 to 70% of ads and everything are shown and things are done, is typically on mobile. Now with LinkedIn, all of the data they have there that you're targeting off of is specific data that users are putting in. Those users are saying, I work at this location in this job field, and this title is my title at work. So you can easily target a CMO of a large company with an ad. So the targeting is very specific and very good if that's something you're going after. So people who are headhunters do well in this area because the value is so great when they do make a hire that it's worth running it, even when the cost per lead can be $80 to $150. That's worth it to them because they're going to make, $5,000 to $10,000 once they make that CMO hire. Again, job titles, companies, industries, etc., are all targetable on there. And the lead quality that you get from LinkedIn is very high because you're paying for quality. This is essentially what it looks like when you set up ads on LinkedIn. It's very similar to Meta. You go for conversions, typical leads, and the audience attributes are extremely targeted and accurate. So you can go through that. These are all the people you can target. And then, so to just give you a quick recap, before we start Q&A, foundation, get it set up, research, know your prospects, set up, make sure your site is ready for the traffic that you're going to be sending to it. The creative, make sure you're grabbing people's attention. It's super important to do that in that first second. Analyze, make sure you're looking at your data, understanding where you're missing out on, and then fixing that area to make it better. And then again, iterate and then check, analyze, and then you just do that. It's a whole circular process. You're just constantly analyzing the data from what you're doing and then making changes to fix the dips in your data. So if you want to work with me, have additional questions beyond after our Q&A, I'm going to leave my information here on the last slide. I'm reached here at terrell@ecomandcoffee.com. My phone number is listed there. You can always feel free to text or email me. And then I do have retainer specials for AZ Commerce Authority clients. So if you'd like to work with me, you can always reach out and I'd be happy to do so. That is everything. I'll turn time back over to you, Robert, and then we can jump into Q&A. It looks like you have a few questions.
Yeah, we got a few questions in there, so we'll pull those up. All right, first one is, how long should a video be?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. So I typically will tell people between 15 and 30 seconds. Reason being is that, your attention is very limited with the amount of people, but also when you want to have your placements work on Instagram stories or anything like that, you need it to be under that. Otherwise, your story placement will be removed. So typically 15 to 30 seconds is as long as you want it to be.
And then a question just popped in that ties to that is, would you recommend video over ads, images in ads?
Yeah, it's a great question too. So when you're running ads on there, I typically do both. So in one campaign, in one audience, what I would do is I would just have a campaign level and then an ad set. And an ad set is where you have your audiences decided on. And then within that ad set, I would have 4 to 5 different ads, and I would have a mix of images and videos. So typically it'd be 2 to 3 videos and 2 to 3 images split pretty evenly to then test which is working and not working. So I always do both and then spend on the one that does the best for you.
Talking about videos, someone had a question is, do you have an example of a successful video?
Yeah, I mean, I have a number of examples. It'd be difficult for me to pull here, but if you zip me an email, Charlotte, I can zip over a couple, like maybe just let me know what your niche is in, and I can send something that kind of matches what you do.
Okay, excellent. And then I like the question, your thoughts on paid ads versus using influencers?
Yeah, so this is a big one. I encourage people to do both, right? And so one of the nice things is with influencers is you get them to do their post and the organic that you get from them when they do post, but just make sure you add into that when you work with them that you are going to be able to use that video that they created for you that they're running as an ad for yourself. So you take that piece of content that they made, and you create your own ad using that video content that they made, and you run it as an ad. The issue is that like their social post for influencers is typically going to have a life span of a week to 2 weeks at the most, whereas the ad you can have running for 6 months if you want, 7 months, 8 months. So I would say, do both, because the nice thing with influencers, which, in the ad world, we typically call it UGC, which is just user generated content, is you have content that really gives social proof to the thing that you're wanting people to do or the thing you're wanting people to buy. And so really doing both is a huge thing, I would say, to do.
Okay, and then we had another one. Could you talk a bit more about split testing, please?
Yeah, so split testing is something that I do, across everything. So running a split test on ads, for instance, is, you put up one piece of creative, and let's say it's a graphic, right? It's just an image, and you use that image in 2 different ads. And all you do is you change the headline in the ad. You run money, you spend to both of those ads, and then you see which headline drove the better cost per click or the better click-through rate. That then makes it so okay, this headline is converting better for me versus the other headline. On the landing page side of things, you're creating 2 different landing pages that you're going to send traffic to. And then you split that traffic out between ads that are exactly the same. And the only thing you change is the landing page you're sending the traffic to then see how each of those landing pages convert. So you can then understand, okay, this is the one that's converting the best. Let me take the loser, make some edits to that, make it better than the one that's doing the best, and then run that split test again until you get to a landing page that converts at the level that you're happy with. And then you just run all your traffic to that one. So it's just taking those split tests, changing one variable, and then seeing how those ads do.
All right, we got another question here. It's 2 questions in one. It says, do you find conversion rates are stronger for certain things or particular niches? For example, services versus products?
Yeah.
Go ahead, and then we'll ask the second part of that.
Okay, yeah, no problem. Yeah, so it's tough. Yes, Stephen. Conversion rates definitely differ between products, niches, services, and products. It's when it comes to e-commerce, the only big difference in conversion rate is typically pricing. So if you have an average order value of like $800 for a product, your conversion rate is typically going to be lower than something, for instance, that has an average order value of $30, because people will pull the trigger on an impulse buy for $30 a lot quicker than they would versus an $800 order that they're going to take time to have to decide on. So I would say those are places where it differs, but conversion rates on services are massively different than products, because most of the time for services, people are just needing to give out their name, email, and phone number, and not credit card. And so those conversion rates are always going to be a lot higher than an actual purchase. So the place where it's very up in the air is in your sales process. So if you're a service and your sales process depends on a salesperson in your office or you in calling back and getting that person to book the appointment to have you come out and do that service, that conversion rate really depends a ton on that salesperson or that person who's on the phone getting that done. So it's mostly the conversion rates are taken off of the lead sign up for the service versus the actual purchasing, because it differs so much by company when you're running those.
And then Stephen asked, where could you go to learn about current trends as opposed to checking direct competitors?
We can do a trend search on Google. You can also, on my calculator on my website, I do have trends as far as percentages go for different areas in the calculator. But if you have any other specific ones on that, I would say just zip me an email with what you're looking on that, and I can send you kind of some of the research areas that I use.
Excellent. Going back to the split test, is how long should you run a split test for?
So this is a question that I get a lot. A lot of people ask what you should run as or the how long everything should be. And the answer is typically actually more how much money should you spend, because the amount of money you spend is going to determine like how many people got to your site to test whether that worked or not. And so when people have a limited budget, let's say they're only able to spend $10 a day, and you need to spend $100 to get enough data on those split tests, that's then going to take you 10 days. Whereas if you spent $100 in one day, you would get enough traffic in one day to get that same amount of data. So a lot of it comes down to what your level of ad spend is and the amount of people you get there in that amount of ad spend. Typically, I would say a good metric to put in there would be that you want to get at least 100 people to each of those landing pages to determine which is the winner, and that would kind of be a minimum. So it's more based on really the ad spend that you push towards it than the time frame of how long. I hope that makes sense.
Yep. All right, let's talking about advertising and spend for a business that is just starting advertising and construction service homeowners mostly. How much would you recommend to spend on an ad set in a month?
Yep, great question. Most of my I'll make some assumptions and say that you can service a 30-mile area, because a lot of it kind of depends on the area you can service. Like if you were a nationwide company, the budget would be a lot bigger. And so for small companies that have a limited area to advertise to, I would say start with a budget between $500 and $1,000, and you're going to get a great amount of data, and you should get to understand what you're doing and if it's working or not. Kind of the same for restaurants, because restaurants target 5 to 8 mile radius from their location. That's probably what I would say is a good place to start. Is start small in that $500 to $1,000 range, and start at $25 to $50 a day, because that's going to give you the data to then understand, hey, what's working and what's not, to then start making changes. And then once something starts working, then go ahead and start spending more on it.
All right. So there's a simple question. Is it worth the cost to pay for Google Ads?
Yep, it is. It kind of also, it depends on your product. So Meta is the best thing there is for interruption marketing. Meta is the best place for getting in front of people with a product or a service that they did not know existed or did not know they needed right now. Google is wonderful for having a service that people search for in your area so that you can provide that service. But people have to be searching for it. So it's kind of it's kind of a different type of option when you're trying to figure out, okay, do I have something that people are looking for and they just don't know I exist? Or is it people don't know this service exists and so they're not searching for it? For instance, would be having a company who hangs Christmas lights and does that as a service, and people didn't know that that actually existed as an option. Oh, I didn't know people could come out and decorate my house for me. I didn't have to do it. And they just come, decorate, and leave. And then when Christmas is over, they come and pick it up and leave. And I don't have storage issues. I don't have anything. It's like, oh, I didn't know that existed. So it's not something that people are searching for. So you have to put an ad in front of people for them to then see it and go, oh, that exists. I'll sign up for that. Whereas if you have, if your water heater goes out, you go, water heater repair company. That's a search that if you are a water heater repair company, that you would then want to run Google ads for. So your service pops up first in the Google search results. So there's always a reason to run Google. It's just where you should start is kind of based on what your service and product is.
So this is a good question. I think it may be one of the last ones is how do I know how much money to spend before I know I'm losing money if it's my first time running an ad for a brand new business?
Yep. So it kind of depends a lot, and that's the hard thing is like a lot of my answers are it depends. And it's typically when you've sent enough traffic to say, hey, I still haven't gotten a purchase for that. I mean, I typically would say people should spend upwards of $1,000 before they say, okay, this isn't working. But that would mean that in that meantime, every $100 you spend, you're changing something and fixing something to get to a point of it working. Because like I said, on those calculators, it'll show you, you'll know, hey, my click-through rate on my ad is under 1%. I need better ads. My conversion rate on my site is blank. I need better conversion rate on my website. Like these ads will work if you fix those things. And so every $100 you spend, make a fix, make a repair, and then spend another $100. And then just keep on repeating that until you get to the point of those numbers working. And that's when you'll know. And as long as you're doing that and not just saying, okay, I'm going to spend $1,000 on this one ad. It failed. I spent $1,000, it failed. No, like if it's failing, then fix something. Don't just keep spending money on something that's not working.
And that's a great point that, as you mentioned, when you're spending and you have these ad marketing programs, it's so important to be tracking the numbers. So if it's working for you or not. If not, you're just throwing money in the trash potentially.
Absolutely.
So if it's not working for you and you're not checking the numbers and have those specific goals set up to validate, then you're just wasting money on it. So going through those steps, you go back a slide, Terrell, and we'll put those steps up one last time. The 5 steps. Going through those steps is great to make sure you have each piece set up correctly, you're doing it right, making the adjustments, and to make the most out of your marketing dollars that you do have to spend. We know small businesses don't have a lot of money to spend for it, so you got to make the most out of what you do have. So, all right, as we wrap up, Terrell, any last minute thoughts to share before we wrap up?
Yeah, no, that's it. I mean, it was really nice to be able to get on here, hop on. If anybody again has any questions, concerns, or wants to work with me, you can email me there. Typically you're going to want to have your ad spend in that over $1,000 range to work with me to make it make sense money wise. But I do have a retainer special for everybody who's on this call and anybody who reaches out from this webinar. And also, I'm always happy to answer people's questions, even if you just have something. I was a small business at one point and kind of growing, and so I'm happy to help people who are trying to do that as well.
Excellent. Well, thank you for being with us. We appreciate you sharing your expertise and this great information. We want to thank all of our attendees for being with us today, and we hope to see you next week on our next boot camp session on Tuesday morning. So until then, everybody have a great rest of your week, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.